Do you think you truly understand how JavaScript functions work under the hood? Many developers struggle with closures, recursion, and the "this" keyword when things get complex. In this video, we will cover JavaScript Advanced Functions practice questions and detailed explanations. Master JavaScript Advanced Functions with this comprehensive practice guide. In this video, we are diving deep into 30 advanced JavaScript function questions designed to mirror professional certification standards and high-level technical interviews. Before we begin, make sure to grab a coffee and a notepad. Let's see how many you can get right. What is the result of the following code execution? Function create counter, opening curly bracket, let count equals 0, return function, opening curly bracket, count plus plus, return count, closing curly bracket, const counter 1 equals create counter, const counter 2 equals create counter, counter 1, console.log, counter 1, counter 2, option A, 1 1, option B, 2 1, option C, 2 2, option D, 1 2. The correct answer is B. This question tests your understanding of closures. When create counter is called, it creates a new lexical environment. Counter 1 foot and counter 2 feet refer to two distinct instances of the inner function, each with its own count variable. Calling counter 1 twice increments its specific count to 2. Calling counter 2 for the first time initializes its own count from 0 to 1. Therefore, the output is 2 and 1. Which method should you use if you want to invoke a function immediately while passing an array as arguments for this context? Option A, bind. Option B, call. Option C, apply. Option D, execute. The correct answer is C. The apply method calls a function with a given this value and arguments provided as an array or an array-like object, while call also invokes the function immediately. It requires arguments to be listed individually. Bind creates a new function but does not execute it immediately. There is no standard execute method for this purpose in JavaScript. Transforming a function that takes multiple arguments into a sequence of functions that each take a single argument is known as option A, composition, option B, currying, option C, memoization, option D, recursion. The correct answer is B. Currying is a functional programming technique where a function with multiple arguments is transformed into a series of nesting functions. It allows you to partially apply a function, which is useful for creating specialized versions of general functions and improving code reusability. What defines a higher-order function in JavaScript? Option A, a function that uses strict mode. Option B, a function that is defined inside an object. Option C, a function that takes a function as an argument or returns a function. Option D, a function that has more than 5 parameters. The correct answer is C. In JavaScript, functions are first-class citizens. A higher-order function is a function that operates on other functions, either by taking them as arguments, like map, filter, or for each, or by returning them. This is a fundamental concept in functional programming. What is the primary risk of using deep recursion without a proper base case or tail call? Optimization in most browsers? Option A, memory leak. Option B, Maximum call stack size exceeded. Option C. Syntax error. Option D. Type mismatch. The correct answer is B. Each time a function calls itself, a new frame is added to the call stack, without a base case to stop the recursion. Or if the recursion is too deep, the stack exceeds its allocated memory limit, resulting in a range error. Maximum call stack size exceeded. This is commonly referred to as stack overflow. In the following code, what will be logged? var x equals 10. Function test. Opening curly bracket. Console.log. X. var x equals 20. Closing curly bracket. Option A, 10. Option B, 20. Option C, undefined. Option D, reference error. The correct answer is C. This involves hoisting. Inside the test function, the declaration var x is hoisted to the top of the function scope, but the assignment equals 20 remains in place. Therefore, when console.log x is executed, the local x exists but hasn't been assigned a value yet, resulting in undefined. It shadows the global variable x. How do arrow functions handle the this keyword compared to regular functions? Option A. They have their own dynamic this context. Option B. They inherit this from the parent lexical scope. Option C. They set this to null by default. Option D. They cannot be used inside methods. The correct answer is B. Arrow functions do not have their own this. Instead, they capture the this value of the enclosing lexical context in which they were defined. This makes them particularly useful for callbacks and event handlers where you want to maintain the context of the outer object. Which of the following is a characteristic of a pure function? Option A. It modifies a global variable. Option B. It produces side effects like logging to the console. Option C. It returns the same output for the same input every time. Option D. It depends on the current system time. The correct answer is C. A pure function must satisfy two conditions. 1. It always returns the same result given the same arguments. 2. It does not cause any observable side effects, like modifying external variables, writing to disk, or network calls. This makes code more predictable and easier to test. What is a common use case for an IIFE? Option A. To create a global variable. Option B. To avoid polluting the global namespace. Option C. To speed up the execution of the code. Option D. To replace all for loops. The correct answer is B. An IIFE is a function that runs as soon as it is defined. Its primary purpose is to create a private scope for variables, preventing variables inside the IIFE from conflicting with other variables in the global scope. This was especially important before let and const block scope were introduced. What does function composition involve? Option A. Running multiple functions in parallel. Option B. Combining two or more functions to produce a new function. Option C. Writing functions inside a class constructor. Option D. Converting a function into a string. The correct answer is B. Function composition is the process of combining multiple functions where the output of one function becomes the input of the next. In mathematical terms, f, g, x. This allows for building complex logic by chaining small, reusable, and testable utility functions. What is the primary characteristic of a callback function? Option A. It is always an arrow function. Option B. It is passed as an argument to another function. Option C. It must return a Boolean value. Option D. It can only be used with asynchronous code. The correct answer is B. A callback function is a function passed into another function as an argument, which is then invoked inside the outer function to complete some kind of routine or action. Callbacks can be used in both synchronous, like array, prototype.map, and asynchronous, like setTimeout, contexts. What is the primary benefit of memoization in JavaScript functions? Option A. It reduces the amount of code written. Option B. It ensures the function is executed in a worker thread. Option C. It optimizes performance by caching results of expensive function calls. Option D. It makes the function accessible globally. The correct answer is C. Memoization is an optimization technique where you store the results of expensive function calls and return the cached result when the same inputs occur again. This is particularly useful for recursive mathematical functions like Fibonacci sequences or heavy data processing where the same calculations are repeated. Which of the following is true about the arguments object in a non-arrow function? Option A. It is a real array instance. Option B. It contains only the first three arguments passed. Option C. It is an array-like object containing all arguments passed to the function. Option D. It is available inside arrow functions. The correct answer is C. The arguments object is a local variable available within all non-arrow functions. It contains an entry for each argument passed to the function. However, it is array-like, meaning it has a length property but does not have built-in array methods like map or filter unless converted to a real array. What is the correct syntax for using REST parameters? Option A. Function myfunc, args, opening curly bracket, closing curly bracket. Option B. Function myfunc, args, opening curly bracket, closing curly bracket. Option C. Function myfunc, args, opening curly bracket, closing curly bracket. Option D. Function myfunc and args, opening curly bracket, closing curly bracket. The correct answer is A. The REST parameter syntax allows a function to accept an indefinite number of arguments as an array. It must be the last parameter in the function definition. This is a more modern and flexible alternative to using the arguments object. How does partial application differ from currying? Option A. Partial application always returns a value, not a function. Option B. Currying transforms a function into a chain of unary functions, while partial application fixes some arguments and returns a function of smaller arity. Option C. There is no difference. They are two names for the same thing. Option D. Partial application only works with arrow functions. The correct answer is B. While related, they are distinct. Querying transforms a function of n arguments into n functions of one argument each. Partial application takes a function and applies some of its arguments, returning a new function that takes the remaining arguments. What happens if you call a function with a default parameter but pass undefined as the argument? Option A. The default value is used. Option B. The variable becomes null. Option C. A reference error is thrown. Option D. The function returns nan. The correct answer is A. In JavaScript, default function parameters allow named parameters to be initialized with default values if no value or undefined is passed. Note that if you pass null, the default value is not used. The parameter will be null. When creating a function using new function, what is the scope of the resulting function? Option A. It has access to the local scope where it was created. Option B. It is always created in the global scope. Option C. It is block scoped. Option D. It has no scope at all. The correct answer is B. Functions created with the new function syntax do not have access to the lexical scope of their creation point. They only have access to the global scope. This is a rare way to define functions and is generally discouraged due to security and performance reasons. How can you use the array prototype slice method on an arguments object? Option A. Arguments slice. Option B. Array slice arguments. Option C. Array prototype slice call arguments. Option D. Arguments join slice. The correct answer is C. Since arguments is an array-like object but not an array, it doesn't have the slice method. You can't borrow the method from the array prototype using call or apply single quote. This sets this context of slice to be the arguments object. Why does using var in a for loop with a set timeout often result in the last value being printed every time? And how does let fix it? Option A. Var is faster than let. Option B. Var is function scoped, creating one variable for all iterations. Let is block scoped, creating a new binding for each iteration. Option C. Set timeout only works with let. Option D. Let prevents the loop from finishing. The correct answer is B. With var, the variable is hoisted to the function global scope, so every timeout callback refers to the same shared variable, which has reached the final value by the time the timer fires. Let creates a new lexical environment for every loop iteration, essentially giving each timeout its own unique I value. What is the base case in a recursive function? Option A. The point where the function calls itself. Option B. The condition under which the function stops calling itself. Option C. The initial arguments passed to the function. Option D. The maximum depth of the call stack. The correct answer is B. A recursive function must have a base case, a condition that returns a value without making a further recursive call. Without a base case, the function would continue to call itself infinitely until the call stack overflows. What is the main difference between a function declaration and a function expression regarding hoisting? Option A. Expressions are hoisted. Declarations are not. Option B. Declarations are hoisted. allowing the function to be called before it is defined. Expressions are not. Option C. Both are hoisted identically. Option D. Neither is hoisted in ES6. The correct answer is B. Function declarations are fully hoisted, meaning the JavaScript engine moves the entire function definition to the top of the scope. Function expressions, e.g., const x equals function, follow the hoisting rules of the variable they are assigned to. If using const or let, they are not initialized until the line of code is reached. What does it mean for functions to be first class in JavaScript? Option A. They are the most important part of the language. Option B. They can be treated like any other variable, passed as arguments, returned, assigned. Option C. They can only be defined at the top level of a script. Option D. They are automatically optimized by the V8 engine. The correct answer is B. In JavaScript, functions are first-class citizens. This means they can be stored in variables, passed as arguments to other functions, returned from other functions, and even have properties and methods assigned to them just like objects. Where does a function look for a variable if it is not found in its local scope? Option A. In the global scope only. Option B. In the prototype chain of the function object. Option C. In its outer, parent, lexical environment. Option D. It returns null immediately. The correct answer is C. JavaScript uses lexical scoping. When a variable is used, the engine looks at the current local scope. If not found, it moves up to the outer lexical environment where the function was defined. This chain continues until it reaches the global scope. This is known as the scope chain. What is a factory function? Option A. A function that creates and returns a new object. Option B. A function built into the JavaScript engine. Option C. A function that uses the new keyword. Option D. A function used only for CSS manipulation. The correct answer is A. A factory function is a function that is not a class or a constructor but returns a new object. It is a powerful alternative to classes, as it doesn't require the new keyword and provides an easy way to achieve data encapsulation using closures. What is immutability in the context of functional programming? Option A. The ability to change a variable's type. Option B. The practice of never changing data after it's created, but creating new copies instead. Option C. Ensuring a function never returns a value. Option D. Making sure all functions are global. The correct answer is B. Immutability means that once a data structure, like an object or array, is created, it cannot be modified. Instead of changing the original, you create a new one with the updated values. This prevents side effects and makes state management much easier to track. What does an async function always return? Option A. A string. Option B. A promise. Option C. A boolean. Option D. The result of the last line. The correct answer is B. Functions marked with async always return a promise. If the function returns a value, the promise will be resolved with that value. If the function throws an error, the promise will be rejected with that error. How do you pause and resume execution in a generator function? Option A. Using await and async. Option B. Using yield and next. Single quote dot. Option C. Using break and continue. Option D. Using return and call. Single quote dot. The correct answer is B. Generator functions, defined with function, can be exited and later re-entered. Their context, variable bindings, will be saved across re-entrances. You use the yield keyword to pause and return a value, and the caller uses the next method to resume execution until the next yield. Which ES6 feature allows some recursive calls to be optimized to prevent stack overflow? Option A. Strict mode. Option B. Tail call optimization. Option C. Destructuring. Option D. Template literals. The correct answer is B. Tail call optimization, TCO, is a feature where the engine can reuse the current stack frame for a function call if that call is in the tail position, the very last action. Unfortunately, support for TCO is limited among major browsers, primarily supported in Safari, WebKit. What does the bind method return? Option A. The result of the function execution. Option B. A new function with a fixed this context and optional preset arguments. Option C. An array of arguments. Option D. A Boolean indicating if the bind was successful. The correct answer is B. Unlike call and apply, bind does not execute the function. It creates a new function that, when called, has its this keyword set to the provided value, with a given sequence of arguments preceding any provided when the new function is called. What is meant by the arity of a function? Option A. The execution time of the function. Option B. The number of arguments the function expects. Option C. The memory usage of the function. Option D. The number of return statements in the function. The correct answer is B. Arity refers to the number of arguments or operands the function takes. In JavaScript, you can check a function's arity using the length property of the function object, e.g., myfunc length. That concludes our deep dive into 30 advanced JavaScript function questions. How did you do? These concepts are the backbone of professional-grade JavaScript development. If you found this helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more technical deep dives. If you're serious about mastering JS, check out the full course linked in the description. For a complete set of practice exams and hands-on labs, check out the full course link in the description below.